There are moments in history when humanity finds itself on the brink of a crucial decision, and this is one of them. Nature, which has always offered shelter and sustenance, is now asking for help. Animals, silent witnesses to the impact of our actions, are disappearing at an alarming rate. Think of the deforested forests, the oceans choked with plastic, and the mountains that no longer support life as they once did. The urgency of this call cannot be ignored, as the loss is not just theirs, it is also ours. When you observe an African elephant or a Spix's macaw, you are not just seeing an exotic animal. You are witnessing a piece of this planet's natural heritage. Each species that disappears takes with it secrets, knowledge, and a part of the harmony that sustains life as we know it. Extinction is a path of no return, a cycle that, once started, cannot be undone. And in this scenario, we are at the center of the action, with the power to change the course of this tragedy. Wildlife is much more than just a country curiosity that attracts tourists or colors documentaries. It is part of the essential fabric that maintains the balance of ecosystems. When a species disappears, the entire environment around it feels the impact. Think about what happens to rivers when fish disappear, or to forests when predators go extinct. The balance is lost, and this is reflected in our own lives. But there is still time. We can still act and be part of the solution. And as we look ahead, we see that this last chance to save these species is not just a responsibility, it's a privilege. The question that arises then is, how can we be part of this change? The next step is to delve into the stories of these animals and discover what is at stake. And so, we go on a journey through Brazil, where the Amazon holds the secrets of wildlife that are on the verge of collapse. Brazil is the guardian of one of the planet's greatest natural resources, the Amazon. This immense rainforest is not only the lungs of the world, but home to magnificent species that are being pushed towards extinction. The hyacinth macaw, for example, has almost disappeared from the wild. Its vibrant plumage, once a symbol of the splendor of Brazilian fauna, is now only seen in sanctuaries and captive breeding efforts. If we continue on this path, this bird will only be remembered in history books as a curiosity about countries that neglected their natural jewels. And it's not just the Spix's macaw that's in danger. The jaguar, a majestic and silent predator of the forests, is losing its habitat at an alarming rate. Fires and deforestation to make room for agriculture and livestock are destroying these felines' homes. Imagine a forest where the biggest predator disappears. The balance is broken, and other species begin to suffer the consequences. Without the jaguar, herbivores multiply and consume more plants, leading to a domino effect that affects the entire ecosystem. The giant anteater, another symbol of Brazilian biodiversity, faces a similar fate. As agricultural expansion advances, he increasingly finds himself without space to live and feed himself. With each hectare of forest cut down, a part of your survival is taken with it. The anteater, with its curious snout and peaceful manner, may seem distant from our urban reality, but its extinction would bring consequences that we cannot even imagine. And here's the question: how long will we allow these animals to disappear before our eyes? We are faced with a clear choice. The Amazon cannot just be a country curiosity that impresses the outside world. It must be preserved as a symbol of hope and life. The fight for the survival of the species that inhabit this immense forest depends directly on us. What can you do to protect this treasure? While we reflect, it's time to cross the ocean and look at another continent where the giants of the savanna are under threat. On the vast plains of Africa, African elephants walk like true kings of the savanna. However, these gentle giants are struggling to survive. The insatiable demand for ivory has caused carnage among the herds. In a matter of decades, What was once an abundant presence on the African landscape is now rapidly dwindling. Every day, more elephants are hunted, not for their majesty, but for their valuable teeth. The illegal ivory trade has made these creatures targets, and the impact of this goes far beyond their physical loss. Without elephants, the ecosystems they help maintain begin to disintegrate, and elephants are not alone in this battle. African rhinos also face a desperate situation. The horns of these majestic beings, fueling an illegal market based on superstition, have an absurd value. Poachers invade reserves and national parks, leaving trails of blood and destruction. The image of a slaughtered rhino is a cruel reminder of how human greed can devastate a species. Without radical intervention, rhinos could be relegated to a mere country curiosity, existing only in stories and old photographs. Still deep in the African forests, mountain gorillas are fighting a similar fight. These primates, with behaviors and family ties so close to ours, are disappearing quickly. Habitat loss and illegal hunting have pushed them over the edge. It is distressing to imagine that gorillas, who share so much of our DNA and express such human emotions, could soon disappear. The disconnect between the modern world and nature makes this extinction even more tragic. Africa, with its unique biodiversity, offers the world a landscape of creatures that inspire reverence and respect. And yet, it also reminds us of the fragility of these species in the face of human exploitation. The survival of these savanna giants is a reflection of our ability to change. If we want these creatures to continue to tread African soil, we need to act now. And speaking of action, the next step takes us to the other side of the planet, where forest fires are putting equally precious species at risk. In Australia, fire is not just a natural element, but a devastating force that is consuming lives. In recent years, uncontrollable forest fires have turned vast areas of land to ash. Koalas, so iconic and loved worldwide, were one of the main victims of this tragedy. With their habitat destroyed, many of these little marsupials were killed, burned, or left without food and shelter. What was once a healthy population now faces an uncertain future. The image of a koala holding a burned tree has become a symbol of the fragility of wildlife in the face of nature's fury, or rather, the consequences of our actions on the environment. And the koala is not alone. The grey kangaroo, one of Australia's national symbols, also feels the impact of the destruction. With hunting and climate change affecting the availability of food and shelter, these hopping creatures are finding less and less space to live. Kangaroo hunting, although regulated, is a constant threat, and climate change is only making the situation worse. Australia's wildlife balance is rapidly fragmenting, and the consequences are visible in every corner of the country. The Tasmanian devil, with its peculiar behavior and frightening appearance, faces an invisible enemy, a deadly disease that has been decimating its populations. Australia has seen this iconic animal rapidly disappear due to an aggressive form of transmissible facial cancer. Without effective intervention, this species could become a mere memory, an animal that once inhabited Tasmania but was defeated by a cruel combination of disease and inaction. Australia, a land known for its unique wildlife, now finds itself in a battle to protect these species against devastating forces, both natural and man-made. The extinction of these creatures would be a terrible blow, not only for the country, but for the entire world, as they are an irreplaceable part of global diversity. But the journey continues, and now we head to India, where another majestic creature is fighting for its survival. In the dense and mysterious forests of India, the Bengal tiger still maintains its majesty. However, his reign is threatened by the shadow of deforestation and illegal hunting. These big cats, which once roamed freely across the plains and forests, now find themselves confined to increasingly smaller areas. The trees that shelter their game and offer refuge are rapidly disappearing, replaced by plantations and urbanized areas. A tiger's roar, once echoing for miles, is now a rare sound, heard only in the most remote and protected areas. Without habitat, how can these predators thrive? India's leopards share a similar fate. These agile and adaptable creatures are forced to live ever closer to cities and towns, where conflict with humans becomes inevitable. These felines are often killed for entering inhabited areas in search of food, or captured by poachers who profit from their skin and body parts. The cycle of destruction is not only ecological, but also social, as local residents suffer from the increasing presence of these predators without a sustainable solution to the conflict. The Indian elephant, an imposing and peaceful giant, also faces devastating threats. Their natural habitat is being fragmented into smaller and smaller pieces, and conflicts with humans have increased. Elephants raid crops and villages in search of food and water, and are often killed in retaliation. The elephant, once revered and respected, now fights for its own survival in a world where its size makes it vulnerable. If things don't change, it will become yet another country curiosity, seen only in documentaries about India's wildlife past. In India, the fight to preserve these iconic animals is ongoing, but the challenges are enormous. For many, the tiger and elephant are not only national symbols, but also representatives of a global fight against extinction. If we lose these species, we will lose part of India's soul, and with it, a deep connection with nature. Now we travel to the cold Arctic, where the majestic polar bear is also fighting its own battle for survival. In the vast icy reaches of the Arctic, the polar bear reigns as one of the world's most iconic predators. However, this majestic creature now faces an impossible battle: the fight against the melting of the polar ice caps. With the ice melting faster than ever, bears are finding less and less space to hunt. They depend on ice to reach their prey, especially seals. But with the disappearance of this ice, their chances of survival decrease drastically. The polar bear, a symbol of resistance and strength, has now become a symbol of our planet's fragility in the face of climate change. While the bears fight on the ice in the skies, the bald eagle, once on the brink of extinction, has found a breather. Thanks to decades of conservation efforts, this magnificent bird, a symbol of the United States, has managed to recover, but its fight is not over yet. Pesticide contamination, habitat destruction, and hunting remain constant threats. To see a bald eagle soaring high is to witness the result of positive human intervention, but also a reminder that vigilance must continue to ensure its recovery is lasting. In the heart of North America, the gray wolf, another predator vital to the balance of ecosystems, faces a new type of threat: aggressive hunting policies. For decades, wolves were hunted almost to extinction, but now, with some populations recovered, heated debates are emerging over their management. While some see the wolf as a villain that threatens livestock, others understand its essential role in maintaining the health of ecosystems, controlling herbivore populations, and preserving vegetation. North America, with its vastness and diversity, remains home to many species that depend on our protection. From the icy peaks of Alaska to the woods and plains of the United States and Canada, predators and birds struggle to survive in an increasingly hostile environment. Now, we travel to an exotic, isolated land where lemurs face their own race against time. Madagascar, an isolated island in the Indian Ocean, is one of the most fascinating places on the planet in terms of biodiversity. More than 90% of the species that live there cannot be found anywhere else in the world, but this abundance of life is rapidly disappearing. Lemurs, perhaps the island's most famous creatures, are among the most endangered animals. Around 95% of lemur species are at risk of extinction, mainly due to deforestation and hunting. These curious and playful creatures, which fascinate scientists and tourists alike, could disappear forever if nothing is done. Deep in Madagascar's forests, the fossa, the island's largest land predator, also faces an uncertain future. Deforestation for agriculture is destroying its habitat, leaving it with fewer areas to hunt and breed. The fossa plays a crucial role in the island's ecological balance, controlling populations of other animals. Without it, Madagascar's unique ecosystem could completely destabilize. Once again, the interconnection between species becomes clear. If one disappears, all the others are affected. Another emblematic animal on the island is the rayed turtle, one of the most beautiful and endangered turtles in the world. Its carapace, adorned with geometric patterns, makes it a target for the illegal pet trade. Despite conservation efforts, the capture of these turtles continues, pushing them ever closer to the brink of extinction. Animal trafficking in Madagascar is not just a threat to the rayed turtle, but to many other endemic species, which are seen as country curiosities and captured for global markets. Madagascar, with its irreplaceable flora and fauna, is in a race against time to save its species. The pressure on its ecosystems is intense, but the island still offers hope. If there is action now, we can still preserve one of the world's greatest natural wonders. And so, we head to the east, where another natural wonder, China's giant panda, faces unique challenges. In China, the giant panda is more than just a national symbol. It's a global emblem of conservation. These iconic bears, with their peaceful demeanor and charming appearance, were once on the brink of extinction. Today, thanks to intense conservation efforts, its population is slowly recovering. However, the panda's habitat, the bamboo forests in China's mountains, remains under threat due to agricultural and urban expansion. For the panda to survive, it is not enough to just protect individuals, it is necessary to ensure that its home remains intact. In the highest mountains, where the air is thin and silence prevails, lives another majestic predator, the snow leopard. Known as the ghost of the mountains, this rare feline is one of China's most enigmatic creatures. Illegal hunting and the reduction of its natural prey have put this species in danger. The vastness of its territory and its stealthy nature make conservation efforts difficult, but the fight to save this symbol of resilience continues amid an increasingly challenging environment. In the fresh waters of China, the Yangtze River dolphin, once considered one of the most intelligent aquatic mammals, has been declared functionally extinct. Pollution, dam construction, and overfishing have destroyed their habitat. The disappearance of this dolphin serves as a warning about the devastating impact of pollution and environmental degradation. If we do not act quickly to protect China's other aquatic species, many will follow the same tragic fate. China, with its vast expanse and accelerated economic growth, faces a dilemma between modernization and conservation. Species like the panda and snow leopard are ambassadors in a larger struggle to balance development with protecting nature. The next stop on our journey is Russia, where the majestic Siberian tiger faces a battle for its survival, amid the ice and dense forests. In the vast frozen regions of Russia's far east, the Siberian tiger, the world's largest cat, walks silently through dense, snow-covered forests. With its robust body and thick coat, it is perfectly adapted to withstand the harsh Arctic climate. However, despite its majesty, the Siberian tiger is in a desperate fight against extinction. Rampant deforestation and illegal hunting for the fur and body parts trade are reducing their population to critical numbers. If urgent action is not taken, this iconic predator could disappear from Siberian forests. Farther north, the polar bear is fighting its own battle for survival. With global warming melting the Arctic ice caps, the habitat of these giants is shrinking every year. Without ice, polar bears lose the platform from which they hunt seals, their main source of food. The result? Starving bears, forced to swim long distances or forage for food in populated areas, which often end in conflict with humans. Arctic melting is not a distant threat. It is a reality that is already affecting species in a devastating way. Walruses also face similar difficulties. These marine mammals rely on ice to rest between their hunting trips in the ocean. With ice becoming increasingly scarce, walruses are forced to huddle together on crowded beaches, where they compete for space and food. Without safe areas to rest, many end up dying from exhaustion or fighting over territory. Climate change is reshaping life in the Arctic, and walruses are just one of many species affected by this rapid and merciless transformation. Russia, with its vast wild territories, is watching these Arctic giants disappear before its eyes. However, there is still hope if firm action is taken. Now, we head to Indonesia, where dense tropical forests hide creatures as majestic as they are threatened. Deep in the rainforests of Sumatra and Borneo, the Sumatran orangutan swings between the trees, a sight that inspires both awe and concern. These extraordinary primates, known for their intelligence and social behavior, are facing silent extinction. Deforestation for palm oil plantations is rapidly destroying their natural habitat. Trees are cut down and burned, leaving orangutans with no place to live or feed. The situation is so serious that if deforestation continues at this rate, the next generation could grow up in a world where orangutans are just memories in documentaries. Another inhabitant of Indonesian forests, the Javan rhinoceros, is one of the rarest and most endangered species in the world. There are so few rhinos left of this species that each individual is crucial to the survival of the population. Poaching, although reduced in some areas, still poses a significant threat. Furthermore, the fragmentation of their habitat limits their ability to reproduce and maintain a viable population. The Javan rhino, which once roamed much of Southeast Asia, is now confined to a small protected area. Every day of survival is a victory, but the future is still uncertain. Sumatran tigers, the last of their species, are also fighting for survival in Indonesia's dwindling forests. Illegal hunting and habitat loss have drastically reduced their populations. Every tiger that disappears takes with it a piece of Indonesia's rich biodiversity. These big cats, with their unique stripe patterns, are essential predators for maintaining the balance of their ecosystem. Without them, the food chain is destabilized, and the consequences can be disastrous for the entire environment. Indonesia is one of the most biodiverse places in the world, but its wildlife is on the brink of collapse. If nothing is done to stop the destruction of their forests, future generations will only learn about these iconic creatures through curiosities about countries and stories from a time when they still existed. Now, we travel to South America, where the Peruvian Amazon rainforest is home to its own endangered guardians. In the heart of the Peruvian Amazon rainforest, an imposing creature walks silently through the dense vegetation: the Brazilian tapir. This animal, one of the largest herbivores in South America, plays a crucial role in maintaining the ecosystem, dispersing seeds and opening paths through the forest. However, the tapir is threatened by hunting and the destruction of its habitat. Agricultural expansion and illegal mining destroy this peaceful creature's home, and fewer of them are seen roaming the wild freely. The disappearance of the tapir would be an irreparable loss for the Amazon and its ecological balance. Above the mountains, gliding on the air currents, is the Andean condor, the largest bird of prey in the world. With a wingspan that can reach 3 meters, the condor is a majestic sight in the sky, but its numbers have declined drastically. Hunting and pesticide contamination are reducing their populations at an alarming rate. The condor, revered by ancient cultures as a symbol of power and freedom, is now in danger of disappearing, leaving the skies of South America emptier and quieter. Beneath the dense foliage, small, colorful poison, dart frogs hop among the damp leaves. These small amphibians, known for their vibrant colors and potent toxin, are another group at risk of extinction. The destruction of their habitat, coupled with water and soil pollution, is rapidly eliminating their populations. Furthermore, the collection of these frogs for the illegal exotic animal trade contributes to their decline. Without these small but vital ecosystem components, forest health can deteriorate further. Peru's Amazon jungle is a treasure trove of biodiversity, but it is also a battleground for the survival of countless species. The pressure on its inhabitants grows every day, while the world watches from a distance. But time to protect these forest guardians is running out. Now, let's cross the ocean to Japan, where coastal development threatens the survival of some of the country's most vulnerable species. In the calm waters off the Japanese coast, the dugong, one of the world's rarest marine mammals, glides silently. These gentle herbivores, known for their similarities to mythological merpeople, are facing imminent extinction due to coastal development. The construction of naval bases and the expansion of urban areas are destroying the marine habitats that dugongs depend on for food. Without the vast underwater grasslands, these peaceful creatures are starving. Japan, with its rich culture of respect for the sea, is at risk of losing one of the jewels of its waters. Farther north, in the mountains of Japan, the Japanese ibis, a once abundant bird, now survives thanks to intense conservation efforts. This bird, with white plumage and curved beak, was declared extinct in the wild in the mid-20th century, but captive breeding programs have slowly restored its population. Still, the ibis remains vulnerable, as its natural habitat, marshy and agricultural areas, is increasingly reduced by the advancement of cities and pollution. The story of the Japanese ibis is a reminder that while conservation can bring hope, it also requires constant vigilance. Sea turtles, which have inhabited Japanese coasts for centuries, now face a similar struggle. These ancient creatures are accidentally caught in fishing nets or suffer from sea pollution. The plastic that fills the oceans mixes with their food, and many turtles ingest debris that slowly kills them. Furthermore, the spawning areas where they return year after year are being destroyed by coastal development projects, putting the life cycle of these majestic creatures at risk. Japan, a nation surrounded by the ocean, has a deep connection to its waters and its inhabitants. However, the relentless advance of modernization and urban expansion are putting some of the country's most iconic species at risk. Now we head to Mexico, where wildlife also faces severe threats, but there is still hope for creatures like the jaguar and the Mexican wolf. In the heart of the Mexican forests, the Mexican wolf, one of the most endangered wolf subspecies in the world, struggles to survive. These wolves, once present throughout much of North America, have been nearly wiped out due to overhunting and poisoning. Now, after reintroduction programs, they are trying to recover but still face intense challenges. Conflict with ranchers, who view wolves as a threat to livestock, remains a barrier to their survival. The Mexican wolf, with its solitary howl, is a symbol of resistance, but its survival depends on peaceful coexistence with humans. In the waters of the Gulf of California, another animal faces an even darker fate: the vaquita. This small and rare cetacean, the smallest in the world, is on the brink of extinction, with less than 20 individuals remaining in the wild. The main threat to the vaquita is the illegal fishing of another species, the totoaba fish, whose swim bladders are highly valued on the black market. Vaquitas become trapped in fishing nets intended for totoaba and drown. If drastic measures are not taken, the vaquita could disappear in the coming years, making it one of the most tragic and preventable extinctions in recent history. Deep in the tropical jungles of Mexico, the jaguar, the largest feline in the Americas, also faces serious threats. The destruction of its habitat to create plantations and urban expansion have reduced its hunting territory, forcing it to enter inhabited areas in search of food. These encounters often result in the death of the jaguar, which is seen as a threat to local communities. The jaguar, with its incomparable strength and beauty, is an essential predator for the balance of the ecosystem, but it is rapidly disappearing from many regions of Mexico. Mexico, with its rich biodiversity, is in a constant struggle to protect its most vulnerable species. The vaquita, Mexican wolf, and jaguar are just a few of the creatures facing extinction, but there is still time to save these unique species. Next, we travel to distant New Zealand, where rare birds like the kakapo and kiwi are on the brink of extinction. In the remote forests and islands of New Zealand, one of the world's most fascinating birds is waging a desperate battle for survival. The kakapo. This lumbering, flightless nocturnal parrot was once abundant throughout New Zealand, but now fewer than 250 individuals remain. Human-introduced predators, such as cats and rats, have decimated their populations. Today, thanks to intensive conservation programs, kakapos are slowly recovering, but the threat of extinction is still imminent. The kakapo is a reminder of how the introduction of new species can devastate entire ecosystems. Another symbol of New Zealand, the kiwi, faces similar challenges. These small, robust-bodied birds, which also cannot fly, are hunted by predators such as dogs and weasels. The kiwi, with its peculiar behavior and its cultural importance for the New Zealand people, is in danger of extinction. Breeding programs and protected areas are some of the efforts to save this bird, but without broader action, the kiwi's future remains uncertain. The survival of this species is not only an ecological issue, but also a cultural one, as the kiwi is one of New Zealand's national symbols. In Maori legends, a long-extinct bird is still revered: Haast's eagle. This gigantic bird, which hunted even large mammals, disappeared with the arrival of the first humans in New Zealand. The extinction of Haast's eagle is a lesson from the past, showing how the introduction of new threats can quickly devastate a species. Although the Haast's eagle is now just a memory, its story is a warning to protect the species that remain on New Zealand's land. New Zealand, with its unique island fauna, faces a monumental challenge to protect its species. The kakapo and kiwi are examples of how conservation efforts can bring hope. But without global cooperation and broader local action, many of these species could become just country curiosities in history books. Now, we head to Europe, where the last large predators are fighting to survive in increasingly smaller areas. In the remaining forests of Europe, the Balkan brown bear walks slowly, looking for food. These bears, which once roamed almost the entire continent, are now confined to isolated and protected mountainous areas. Hunting and destruction of their habitats have drastically reduced their populations, and today they struggle to survive. The few that remain face conflicts with humans who live near these forests. Without continued protection, the brown bear could disappear from many regions of Europe, becoming a distant memory of a time when predators ruled the continent's wild landscapes. In Portugal and Spain, the Iberian lynx, one of the most threatened felines in the world, managed to escape extinction thanks to rigorous conservation programs. However, its survival is still delicate. Habitat loss and the reduction of their main food source, wild rabbits, continue to be ongoing challenges. The Iberian lynx, with its tufts of hair on its ears and penetrating gaze, is a symbol of the fight to preserve large predators in Europe. With each birth of a new lynx, there is hope that the species can recover, but the road is long and full of obstacles. Another giant of European nature, The European bison, which almost completely disappeared, has been reintroduced into some protected areas. These animals, which once roamed the plains of Europe in large herds, can now only be found in reserves and national parks. Although reintroduction efforts have brought success, bison are still far from safe. Habitat loss and historic hunting have decimated their populations, and they remain vulnerable. The European bison is an example of how extinction can be reversed, but also how constant protection is necessary. Europe, with its vast and ancient ecosystems, is still home to predators that play crucial roles in the balance of nature. However, without continued and determined action, these animals could disappear from our fields and mountains. Now, we travel to the icy lands of Antarctica, where emperor penguins face the challenges of melting their icy lands. In the icy wastes of Antarctica, emperor penguins march tirelessly across the ice, on an epic journey to ensure the survival of their species. These penguins are true survivors, facing freezing winds and extreme temperatures. However, climate change is melting glaciers at an alarming rate, destroying the habitat they so depend on. Without ice, emperor penguins lose their breeding platforms and resting places. Every year, the life cycle that has maintained their populations for millennia is being interrupted, threatening their long-term survival. In the deep waters surrounding the White Continent, minke whales also face serious challenges. For centuries, these gentle giants were hunted relentlessly, almost to extinction. Today, although commercial whaling has been reduced, sea pollution and warming waters place these creatures at constant risk. The disappearance of whales would be an immeasurable loss to the marine balance. They are fundamental to the oceanic ecosystem, and their extinction could trigger a series of reactions that would affect the entire marine food chain. At the heart of the Antarctic ecosystem is krill, a small crustacean that forms the basis of the region's food chain. Tiny but vital, they are the main food for countless marine species, including whales, seals, and penguins. However, overfishing and climate change are drastically reducing their populations. The collapse of krill populations would be catastrophic for Antarctic wildlife, creating a domino effect that could devastate the region's entire ecosystem. The future of Antarctic life directly depends on the preservation of this small but crucial crustacean. Antarctica is the last refuge for many species that depend on ice and the sea to survive. But with the ice melting and the seas warming, the future of these creatures is at risk. Now, we head to Southeast Asia, in the Philippines, where endemic species face their own challenges to survive in an increasingly threatened environment. In the dense and mysterious forests of the Philippines, the Philippine eagle, the world's largest raptor, glides through the treetops in search of prey. With its impressive wingspan and sharp gaze, it dominates the skies, but its population is dangerously low. Only a few hundred of these majestic eagles still live in the wild. Habitat destruction caused by deforestation and poaching have pushed this species to the brink of extinction. Every tree felled in the Philippine forests diminishes the chances of survival of this eagle, a symbol of power that could disappear silently unless conservation measures are intensified. Another intriguing inhabitant of the Philippine forests is the tarsier, one of the world's smallest primates. With its huge eyes and nocturnal habits, the tarsier is a fascinating creature, but also extremely vulnerable. The forests it calls home are rapidly disappearing due to agricultural and urban expansion. Furthermore, illegal capture for the pet trade has decimated their populations. Without a safe environment to live and reproduce, the tarsier runs the risk of becoming just another country curiosity, remembered in photos and videos, but absent from the forests it once inhabited. In the coastal waters of the Philippines, the soft-shelled turtle, one of the rarest turtles in the world, faces a fight for survival. Their meat and hooves are highly valued in the illegal trade, and pollution of the rivers and lakes where they live is destroying their natural habitat. Relentless hunting and environmental degradation have driven this species to collapse. If protection actions are not intensified, the soft-shelled turtle could soon disappear completely, taking with it a vital piece of the Philippines' biodiversity. The Philippines, with its vast tropical forests and rich coastal areas, is home to a biodiversity unique in the world. However, deforestation, poaching, and pollution are pushing many of these species to the brink of extinction. Next, we'll explore Thailand, where tourism and development also threaten some of Southeast Asia's most iconic species. In the lush fields and forests of Thailand, the Asian elephant is both a national symbol and a tourist attraction. However, behind their popularity, these majestic animals face a harsh reality. Many elephants are exploited in tourism, being forced to carry tourists on tours and participate in shows, often under cruel conditions. Furthermore, the destruction of their natural habitat, driven by agricultural and urban growth, pushes elephants into inhabited areas, generating conflicts with the local population. Without adequate and ethical management, the future of these giants is at risk. In the calm waters of Southeast Asia, the Irrawaddy dolphin glides silently, a rare and beautiful sight. These unique-looking cetaceans, with their rounded heads and calm demeanor, are in decline. Predatory fishing and pollution have devastated their populations. Furthermore, rampant tourism in some areas has disturbed their natural habitats. If there is no strict control of human activities in their range, the Irrawaddy dolphin may become just a distant memory on the rivers and coasts of Thailand. In tropical forests, the white-handed gibbon, one of the region's most famous primates, fights for survival. With their long arms and melodious cries that echo through the jungle, gibbons are known for their agility and intelligence. However, habitat loss and capture for the pet trade have decimated their populations. Without dense forests in which to shelter and move freely, gibbons are increasingly exposed to the dangers that come from human contact. They depend on a healthy and protected ecosystem, but urban expansion and tourism are slowly destroying this balance. Thailand, with its rich biodiversity and heavy dependence on tourism, faces the challenge of protecting its species while balancing economic development. The future of elephants, dolphins, and gibbons depends on the choices we make today. Now, we head south towards Chilean Patagonia, where the cold wind and vast landscapes are home to rare species that are disappearing. In the vast windswept plains of Chilean Patagonia, the huemul, a native deer and symbol of Chilean wildlife, roams increasingly limited territories. Once abundant in mountains and valleys, the huemul is now critically endangered. Poaching and habitat destruction due to agricultural expansion and human activities are driving this noble species into alarming decline. This solitary deer, which once ruled the landscapes of Patagonia, may soon become just a reminder of the biodiversity the region once hosted. In the icy mountains, the Patagonian puma, the largest land predator in the region, faces a battle against time. With the expansion of farms and grazing areas, the cougar's natural habitat is shrinking. This has forced many of these big cats to hunt livestock, resulting in direct conflicts with ranchers, who often retaliate by killing the cougars. With each puma lost, Patagonia loses a piece of the ecological balance that sustains its unique and wild landscape. Without sustainable management of the territory, this iconic species could disappear. In the clear skies of Patagonia, the Andean condor still soars majestically, but its presence is also diminishing. An impressive bird of prey, with wings that can reach more than 3 meters in wingspan, the condor has suffered from lead poisoning and the destruction of its habitat. As one of the greatest symbols of Andean cultures, the loss of the condor would not only be ecological, but cultural. Although conservation efforts are underway, recovery of this species is slow, and pressure on its natural habitat is not easing. Patagonia, with its pristine and stunning landscapes, is at risk of losing some of its most iconic species. The huemul, puma, and condor are guardians of this wild land, and their extinction would be an irreparable loss to the ecosystem and Chile's natural heritage. Now, let's move to the Galapagos Islands, where the unique wildlife faces its own challenges. In the remote and enigmatic Galapagos Islands, giant tortoises, ancient creatures that once roamed the entire island, are now on the brink of extinction. These giants, which can live for more than a century, were once found in abundance in the Galapagos. Today, thanks to the invasion of exotic species such as rats and goats, their habitat has been devastated. These turtles, which helped inspire Darwin's theory of evolution, are struggling to survive in an environment that no longer offers the security they once had. Its disappearance would be an irreparable loss for global biodiversity. Near the island's shores, the Galapagos cormorant, one of the few birds to have lost the ability to fly, faces a similar struggle. Without natural predators for centuries, these cormorants have evolved to swim rather than fly, but now face threats their ancestors never knew. The invasion of introduced predators and the degradation of the coastal environment have put the cormorant population in steady decline. Although they have adapted to their marine habitat, the imbalance caused by human activities is pushing these curious birds to the brink of extinction. In the turquoise waters surrounding the islands, the Galapagos sea lion also faces increasing challenges. These playful and agile animals are being impacted by overfishing, which reduces their food sources, and climate change, which affects ocean currents and temperatures. Without enough food and facing habitat degradation, sea lions are increasingly vulnerable. Furthermore, uncontrolled tourism is disturbing their breeding areas, which only worsens their situation. The Galapagos Islands, one of the planet's greatest treasures of biodiversity, are under constant threat. Giant tortoises, cormorants, and sea lions are just a few of the many examples of how human intervention can impact entire ecosystems. Protecting these animals is essential to maintain the delicate balance of the islands. Now, we head to Costa Rica, where the biodiversity paradise faces its own challenges. In Costa Rica, one of the most biodiverse countries in the world, spider monkeys swing among the trees of the rainforest, but their future is far from secure. With the rapid destruction of forests for agriculture and tourism, these agile primates are losing the home that provides them with food and shelter. Urban expansion and fires have fragmented spider monkeys' habitat, forcing them to increasingly move into dangerous, urbanized areas. If the destruction continues, these curious and intelligent animals could disappear from one of the regions that most depend on its rich biodiversity. Between the treetops and mountain winds, the quetzal, a bird sacred to ancient people, glides gracefully, but its survival is also threatened. Known for its emerald green plumage and long tail, the quetzal inhabits the cloud forests of Costa Rica. However, habitat loss and climate change are affecting their migration and reproduction patterns. For many, the quetzal is a symbol of freedom and natural beauty, but without adequate protection, it could become just another endangered species. On the banks of Costa Rica's rivers and streams, tree frogs, known for their vibrant colors and camouflage abilities, are rapidly disappearing. Water pollution, excessive use of pesticides, and destruction of their habitat have caused a massive decline in their populations. Additionally, climate change has altered rainfall patterns, affecting the aquatic environment these frogs depend on to live and reproduce. Without these little creatures to maintain the balance of the ecosystem, all of the rainforest's biodiversity is at risk of collapsing. Costa Rica, with its incredible variety of species, is facing an uncertain future. Spider monkeys, quetzals, and tree frogs are just a few of the many inhabitants of this tropical paradise that depend on conservation to survive. Now, we come to the end of this journey, reflecting on what is at stake and how this could be the last chance to save these species. We are at a defining moment in wildlife history. What happens in the coming decades will define the future of countless species, and the extinction of animals around the world is not a distant reality. It is happening now, before our eyes. Each animal that disappears takes with it a piece of the ecosystem, an irreplaceable role in the natural balance. African elephants, Sumatran tigers, Galapagos tortoises, and so many others depend on our immediate action. Time is running out, and this may be our last opportunity to turn this crisis around. Habitat destruction, poaching, and climate change are devastating animal populations in ways many never imagined. It's easy to feel powerless in the face of such a huge problem, but small actions can have a profound impact. Supporting conservation organizations, reducing consumption of products that harm the environment, and lobbying governments for stronger environmental policies are ways to start. Every effort counts, and together we can change the fate of these animals before it's too late. The beauty of nature lies in its connections, in the way in which all species, large and small, play an essential role in maintaining life on Earth. If these connections are broken, humanity will also be affected. The extinction of a species is a warning, an indication that we are exceeding the planet's limits. It is a reminder that we are responsible for this crisis, and at the same time, we have the power to solve it. Now that you know the stories of these animals and understand how critical this fight is, the question remains: what will you do next? Our chance to change this narrative is still in our hands, but time is running out. What steps are you willing to take to ensure wildlife continues to flourish on this planet? If you care about the future of the Earth, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Let's keep exploring and learning together how to protect our world and all its incredible creatures.
Hey explorers, if you love discovering the amazing curiosities and stories we share here on Exploring Nations, how about supporting the channel with just $1? This small gesture can make a big difference and is essential to keep this content going. Without your support, our journey might be cut short. And there's more. When you shop on Amazon, use our special link. It costs you nothing extra, plus you get an exclusive discount and it helps us out a lot. The links for donations and Amazon are pinned in the first comment. Don't let this adventure stop, we're counting on you. Subscribe to our channel, leave a like, and drop us a comment.